Dr. Astamalam, Senior Secretary to the Government and Director of PTAPC, the Development Wizard of Bangladesh, Mr. Abul Kalam Azad, very distinguished colleagues and their respective spouses, the hardworking and innovative staff of BPATC. I'm most delighted to be here, but isn't it time to change the keynote speaker for this policy dialogue? I don't know, maybe. But I'll try to not to be repetitive today, although I think the audience is different, right? Almost different, some common, but I'll try to...
I'll accept these three, all of these.
Okay, good, thank you. But I would start by paying deepest respect to the father of the nation. He is one of a kind, not many in the mankind. He is one who could transform impossibility into a reality. He is one of the very few who caused a revolution without that kind of a real bloodshed. So I think we are very lucky that our founding father is Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. This month is, I would also like to pay tributes to the national leaders who were brutally martyred inside the jail on 3rd of November. This is one of the few instances in the world where inside the jail, which is supposed to be the most secure place, and the British, of course, we call them barbarous sometimes, and the Pakistanis were the most heinous. Even in those days, no political prisoner was murdered inside the jail. So I mean, this has to be condemned from the core of the heart, bottom of the feelings. This month of November is very important in many ways. There are many sad events also this month. If I remember the date correctly, 12th of November, 1970, had the most devastating natural calamity on East Bengal in those days. Lakhs of people lost their lives. But as if this tragedy was not enough, the president of Pakistan, Aga Muhammad Yahya Khan, he flew over Dhaka to Beijing, picnicking in those days. He did not stop in Dhaka to see how the people of East Bengal were suffering. This month is also an important, first part of it anyway. You know the word Manga. Many people have started forgetting this. The month of Kartik, which corresponds to the later part of October and the first part of November, used to see a lot of famine type conditions in this part of the world. When I was serving in the field, I was in Jamalpur. So in Madarganj and Shirazganj, Chilmari, Romani, death by starvation was quite common. I think this one incident, one achievement speaks very loudly that this government in the last 10 years has been able to abolish Manga altogether from the soil of Bengal, from the soil of Bangladesh. Now, the word transformation is used by many people in many ways. Dr. Astamalam has spoken about it. Our special guest has also referred to this. To me, transformation, as I said on the other day, is metamorphosis. when you transform something, some inputs into an output, you do not recognize what kind of inputs went into this. So this is actually the metamorphosis or transformation. Take this example. When Bangladesh was an LDC, $150 per capita income, we started getting World Bank loan from International Development Association, IDA, and Asian Development Fund of ADB. Terms are the following: no interest payments, only a little service charge on the amount of loan or credit not disbursed. So there was a pressure on spending. 10 years of grace period and 40 years repayment after that. I'm defining this because this was to enable a transformation of the productive capacity of the country so that they could repay in foreign exchange. When for instance Bangladesh or any other LDC like this would receive this kind of, I call it as if grant, not only me, many people call it as if grant. So allow the transformation of, for East Bengal, for Bangladesh, just basically rural economy, to transform it into productive capacities for producing goods and services, both for import substitution, thereby saving foreign exchange, and for export promotion, thereby earning foreign exchange to repay. This is actually a classic example of transformation and how it is accomplished in countries. Now, whenever I think about transformation, I also think about innovation. There cannot be any transformation without innovation. The title is very nice, under complex environment. The work of socio-economic, socio-cultural economic development is always a challenging proposition, never simple. Had not been simple here, had not been simple elsewhere. Sorry for making a break. I also would like to compliment the performance of the students of the BTATC School and College. Has been really enchanting and captivating, particularly the underlying tone of patriotism and the determination to face the challenge and cause the transformation of this country. So I congratulate them. They have done very well. Now, I would like to refer to some leaderships that I have seen, many of you must have seen or read. It is always there that one of the factors in the development process is a stable, continued, and strong leadership. This is common in development literature. Let us look at Malaysia and Singapore. Very pathetic country when they were together. These two countries were together, very undeveloped, very undeveloped and low per capita income, but resources were there as they are now. So they decided to break. I think it was in the 60s, early 60s, and lo and behold, the two countries, because of leadership. And there also is a difference in the two journeys. First of all, Singapore did not have much resources, not even land, no minerals, nothing of the sort. purely leadership of one person and his ability to transform the inherent capacity in his people to inspire them and cause a transformation of their management capacity. What they did, they created services, all kinds of simple, port services, financial services, education services, and the whole of Asia, if not the world, they acquired it, came there, took the services, paid big premium, and the country is now a developed country. Malaysia, on the other hand, is also very rich in resources, natural, physical, marine, many resources there, has not done as well. But during the era of Mahathir Mohamad, a physician, they have done very well. They have done so well that after the Asian crisis in 1997, the whole world thought IMF prescription was right to do this and that with the foreign exchange. Mahathir said, I will do differently. I will impose exchange control. Unthinkable. And he was successful. Courageous, gutsy, transformative, innovative. I'm trying to say that the distinction is Malaysia, good quality leadership, lots of resources, did quite well, but Singapore, not much resources, excepting human resources, and ingenuity and ability to transform and innovate a whole nation into services that which whole world had purchased from them. I'll take one or two other examples to make my point. Thailand. For a very long time, this country was, known as massage providers. You know what I mean? Did not have a good name. Then comes, they have a strong monarchy. People respect the monarchy. Then came in the 80s, someone called Major General, I think General Prem Tinsulananda. For one decade, this general, under the blessings of the king, had really transformed Thailand. It's a very decent country now. It's a healthy growth, per capita income is quite high. So I'm saying one leader could inspire and transform Thailand into a very respectable level. I'll give the other examples, let us say the Philippines. I had the privilege of serving there as UN president. At one point of time, Philippines was second from top in ASEAN countries. Now it is second from bottom. Absence of leadership and chaos, confusion. Although it's a very educated country, people have good learning capacity, but because the leadership was not quality leadership, the country has gone into almost, as I said, into the bottom of the ASEAN. Let us see Indonesia, very rich in resources, but has not caused any sensation in development. I took these examples to make a point that even if all the other conditions were present, it is the quality of management and leadership. And what quality? Quality to anticipate and innovate and to transform the productive capacities of the natural resources, mineral resources, and most importantly, of the human resources. So that's what I am saying. This is the distinction. So what lessons do I draw from this for Bangladesh? At the beginning, I'm glad the students have mentioned that at the time of Bangabandhu, we reached GDP growth rate of 7.8. Not many people know this in this country. People very unjustly say that he was not a good administrator. Furthest from the truth. I had the privilege of seeing him from very close quarters, and I am not one of those who will accept things without scrutiny. I can boast that he was a manager of the topmost quality and a leader, of course, most courageous leadership. Not many people can stand up to a military rule for a decade, for 2 decades, for 3 decades, and continuously fight without succumbing to the human frailties and ultimately achieving the independence. Now, I would request you to have a look at the first 5-year plan of Bangladesh. It's a significant document. It was not implemented because those who formulated it could not carry the politicians' political power and the civil service power. Could not carry any, so this was not, but it's an excellent document. But this also speaks of Sheikh Mujib as a leader, the love for the people, the penchant for establishing a welfare state in Bangladesh, in bringing up the Kishanis into the decent levels of standard of living. And I'm that BPATC has a program called Gaon Garame Attachment, right? Is it called Gaon Garame Attachment? I am suggesting something. So it is important that I'll also say something else. You must have read and heard about MAXA, Professor Muzaffar Ahmad Chaudhary, a very well-known scholar, professor of University of Dhaka, Belgian freedom fighter, first chairman of University Grants Commission. He was minister and other things, but UGC I mentioned for this reason. In India, when the UGC was set up, the chairman was C.D. Dashmo, just retired finance minister of the Republic of India. He was made chairman. So MAXA is of that caliber. Bangabandhu thought, and rightly so. He wrote, civil service is the most organized political party in Pakistan. Very significant statement. It applies today in Bangladesh. I think us, the civil servant, we constitute a very powerful segment, a very big force in the country. We can do, we can undo, we can do a lot of things. And we are doing a lot of things. The achievement that we talked about, it would not have been possible without contribution of people like you and people like us here. It is true. But have we done everything that we could? I happen to think that no, we need to do much more. And what is that much more? Routine is no good. For growth, development, you need excitement. What is the excitement? You study the situation. At least I try to do that. I start from the days of the French Revolution, the cry for liberty, fraternity, and equity. This this slogan appeals to me a lot. It tells all. And in order to achieve that, what do we need to do? We have achieved a lot. I will not catalog the achievements except to say that there have been two findings in recent times. One by HSBC, very recent. HSBC says Bangladesh is the fastest growing country in Asia, but very underappreciated. They say people don't know about it. This is perhaps an exaggeration. We are being recognized. Our leader, Sheikh Hasina, has been given very many very appropriate decorations by the United Nations and with various organizations. But to me, one of the tribute that was paid, Ban Ki-moon, the then Secretary General, 3 years ago, called our Prime Minister and said, Madam Prime Minister, I am setting up a panel on water issues. I am chairing it and I request you to be a member of the panel. I think this speaks a lot about the quality of the leadership she has demonstrated in the last 5 plus 15 years. 5 plus 10 is 15 years. So I was talking about HSBC said, it says this is the fastest growing economy in Asia, but least known. A similar find, and there is wealth of information inside this. A similar finding has, and they say in the year 2030, Bangladesh will be the 26th largest economy of the world. And in the process, of course, Bangladesh will surpass all but 3 countries of Europe and most of the countries in Asia. Chamber of Commerce and Industry. 15 days ago, they held a seminar, brought out a good paper. They said their finding is that Bangladesh will be the 28th largest economy in 2030. Quite close. I mean, 2 different independent studies came out almost at the same time. Here I would like to cite some arithmetic. What is the basis of Sheikh Hasina announcing that we will become a developed country in 2041. We are growing roughly at 8% per annum now. Because of compounding, it will take 9 years to double the present per capita income. So it will become 3,500 in 2027. Because by that time, EU and us and others will increase our tax GDP ratio from 10% to at least 16-17%. Because people like you and us will, of course the political government is there, will increase investment GDP ratio from 31 now to 36 or 37. And many other such things will happen. And by the year 2027, our GDP growth rate will cross 10%. I'm pretty confident about it, the way we have gone. If there are no major disasters there can be, I'll come to that also. So from 27, the GDP will double in 8 years. So that is 35. It will become 7,000 in 2035. And because GDP may be even above 10%, double digit at that time. And because the population growth, unfortunately, well, there are some good things and bad things also will not be that actually. There will be a replacement level. So the GDP will go from 7,000 to 14,000 in 7 years. So by the year 2042 or 2043, which is very close to 2041, we will become, inshallah, a country of per capita income of $14,000, well above a prosperous developed country. So and I can tell you the calculation of the competition of the Prime Minister has been assisted by, as I said, the development wizard and others, but she has her own ways of doing things, making calculations, and so we are on course. What I am saying, we are on course. What is the worry? 45 days from now, 22 days of this month and 23 days of December, we'll have the election to the 11th Parliament. All of us have noticed in the last week or 10 days that a very tense, a very pessimistic scenario about political settlement has been transformed by the Prime Minister into a reasonably optimistic thing. Dialogues are being held, discussions are being held. The people who would not see each other's face, people who would not let the Prime Minister enter into their house, they're sitting, they're discussing. And if you follow this, excepting the Prime Minister, nobody else is very spontaneous. Why do I say this? Meetings are being held, very difficult negotiations, but she is in a position, she's so confident, in a position to make jokes and make humorous comments to the people, to the participants. And there is the real hope that the countdown to the 23rd of December will be a peaceful one. That is our hope. It may happen, it may not happen. But one thing is for sure. You may say that I am partisan. Yes, I am an admirer of the enormous, impossible development work that has taken place in this country in terms of infrastructure and development and cultural progress, etc. I'll mention a little bit about this later. So the things should happen if all of us remain very careful. I'm not saying that we should become partisan. We should be fair. We should be thinking. We should be, looking at how the country has progressed in the last 1 decade, how much the country has gained in terms of, let us say, the territories. Country of 147 square kilometers gained another 118,000 square kilometers because of the heat loss. And I want to go into the energy, per capita income, the infant mortality and life expectancy at birth. But I think most importantly, the country has been put into a position of respect and admiration in the world in the last 1 decade. I don't want to take anything away from the achievements of other governments or other regimes. Two things can be stated about Bangladesh. One is the growth rate, both in GDP and per capita, has been a monotonous tendency. It has always gone up. It did not go down. This is remarkable. Had not happened in all countries. This is one. Second is, despite serious, at times acrimonious, and at times bloodletting differences amongst the politicians, the economic managers of the country have done very well. What is the evidence? As I said, the monotonous growth and development, number one. Number two, there is a very important measure of this by inflation. In Bangladesh, there had been double-digit inflation only 3 times in its 47 years of history. Only 3 times. And it never crossed 20%. So this is a very important yardstick of the success of the economic managers of the country despite political differences. So I say that the economic management of the country has been in very sane hands. So we can look forward to that. But I would time and again say that the world is very competitive now. It is a very complex environment as it is stated. So business as usual will not do it. So what is the task ahead of us? And it is always the case that whenever there is a challenge, there is an opportunity. There are challenges, maybe 5 out of 100 countries or people will accept the challenge, solve it, and reap heavy harvest. Other 95 may go the routine, business as usual. So this is what I actually wanted to tell you in the next 10 minutes or so. The opportunities are enormous in front of Bangladesh. The way it has gotten the result of graduation from LDC to developing country is remarkable. Mr. Azad is actually one of the architects of this, but I always keep on saying our Prime Minister had participated in the formulation of an successful implementation of MDG. Not many countries have done this, and has given inputs in the formulation of SDG. And as far as I know, and I told you that I am a bit biased on this, I am proud of that the Bangladesh has the best preparation to implement SDG. I don't attend many seminars, cannot attend, but I read everything that Mr. Azad and his team produce, and also a bit familiar with the thought process of the Prime Minister. So I can say that the challenge of implementing SDG is far more than in MDG, because in SDG a lot more resources are needed, and the onus of mobilizing them is on the government. But we have enormous opportunities. What are the opportunities? I would like to mention them. First of all, United States economy. Developed economy in general, United States economy in particular. You would have noticed that last Thursday, they released their economic data on Thursdays. Last Thursday, their data said that 235,000 people, 235,000 people entered into payroll in the previous week. And the unemployment rate has come down to 3.5%. I compare this with the time of President Carter, one of my most favorite person. At that time, unemployment was more than 8%, and weekly employment reduced to 100,000 or so. So the economy is growing. Whatever you might say about Mr. Trump or criticism you can do, the economy is growing and it will continue to grow. But that's not the golden opportunity. This, of course, when developed countries grow, demand for our exports grow, so there is an opportunity. But much stronger opportunity is the trade war between US and China. Many countries will benefit, but Bangladesh tends to benefit most. Let us give examples. So whenever there are qualitative trade restrictions on Chinese exports to US, meaning duties and other things, they will slow down production of those goods and services which are relatively labor intensive. R&D, for instance, leather, for instance. So the most natural destination of these industries to be relocated either from China or from US is Bangladesh. Because the R&D wallahs had already stated that Bangladesh is, when China said we are washing our hands of R&D, the buyers said Bangladesh is our favorite source. Much more importantly, now that in the next list, I am told, Mr. Trump will put leather goods. And believe me, Bangladesh has a real gold mine in the leather industry. The industry has already done very well. The quality of our leather products, the bags, handbags, and shoes, and suitcases and other things have really become popular in the developed country. And when the Chinese would relocate, they will have to relocate their shoe factories from USA, and Bangladesh is a natural destination. And I am drawing the attention of Mr. Abul Kalam Azad. Someone else must have done it. Most serious difficulty is land. So the Chinese, they are already here. They would like to have joint venture partners amongst Bangladeshis. They have done very well in leather, but they will be very reluctant to accept the overvalued land equity of these companies, Bangladesh companies. We need to have a solution. I think my humble suggestion is that, but joint venture is very good in this respect, because the Chinese, they are ruthless in terms of efficiency, and we have proven that we are very good at this. So maybe there will be a formula, the local entrepreneur will accept the land part of the equity in his or her share. But these are matters of details. We have a good opportunity. Pharmaceuticals, already hitting headlines. Our pharmaceuticals are doing well. They're getting market. That has a very good chance of expansion. To me, of course, the most promising is the tourism. Once, as I said, 23rd December passes peacefully, and you and I say I because I want to be one of you. That's why. Otherwise, we are past our productive time and age and intelligence. So, if we can maintain the peace, if we are innovative, if we establish two things. One, governance. There should not be any partiality. Governance should be like some other neighboring countries, absolutely fair and justice. justice should be blind, should be applied to everyone equally. So that is established, and if our effort in generating human resources, that's the other thing. Many of our partners, they complain that the quality of human resources is not the best. So if you can improve on these two counts, and it's not a big deal, then we will see all the sectors that I mentioned and other sectors. Tourism in particular. Why do I say tourism? We very much are very proud of the beach in Cox's Bazar, 80 miles long, solid golden sand. But what we have done, in my view, we have spoiled part of the opportunity by building dozens of five-star buildings. Tourists don't come here to stay in five-star buildings, five-star hotels. They have five-star hotels there. What will attract them? If we build 200 cottages along the beach, if we build at least 2 golf courses, it will be the cheapest in the world, I can tell you. In Philippines, I have seen hundreds of Japanese coming into Philippines to play golf. In Bangladesh, there will be thousands to come to play golf if we can create the right kind of golf courses. And we must have, as I said, cottages, and they do not come here to listen to religious sermons. They have a demand for certain quote-unquote amenities and facilities can be created. So if we do this under a transformative and innovative plan, I think that can become a very big earner of resource and foreign exchange. Short of this, there are many others. I will not increase the list and spend more time. Before I conclude, I would say that this country belongs to 160 million people, of which, let us say now, 35 million are poor. The number has been much more. The percentage has been much more. I'm sure the Prime Minister spends sleepless hours thinking about these 3.5 crore poor people and 1.25 crore people who are absolute poor. I'm sure she thinks about it, and people like us should formulate plans and programs and projects, and my favorite, of course, is industrialization. Nothing short of industrialization will solve the problem. Big industries, textiles and other things, to have big jump on the GDP, but more importantly, in my view, micro, small and medium enterprises. I call them MSME. And in Japan and the United States, these kind of enterprises create 2/3 of the jobs. We have a very dire need to create jobs. So we industrialize of this kind, people get paid jobs, their income is higher, poverty reduces dramatically, as does the disparity. I know that the government doesn't want to hear much about disparity. I've been warned by many that if you talk too much about disparity, you may fall further from the grace of the establishment. Maybe, but I think disparity deprives fundamental rights of many people. And when the GDP grows at more than 8%, at the same time, I must say that the poor of today is much better off than the poor of, say 30 years ago or 20 years ago, no question. So my strong advocacy with the government is that we should have hundreds hundred thousands of micro, small, and medium enterprises in the nook and corner, in the villages, in the rural areas of Bangladesh. They will use indigenous raw materials, no need for imports, very little capital, and there is enormous market. Short gestation period, enormous market, and that will create jobs, will generate income, will reduce unemployment, and will reduce poverty in this country. These are, now that the government has more or less met the demand for electricity. Electricity has a very bad habit. The more you expand it, the demand grows faster. So this is ambition of people and industrialization. So although compared to a decade ago, and this man has a lot of credit for this, he's also called the energy and power wizard of Bangladesh. I've seen how people talk about what he has stated, when he stated what, and how it has come to. So I mean, we need to do more of this. We have to become like him and do the planning and energy. We have done very poorly on communications, roads, and there has to be something done about it. More scrutiny, more accountability, and quite importantly, I would like to enlist your support to the demand for changing the financial year from 1st January to 31st December. I have not gone anywhere. Nobody likes it. It is obvious that because of the July-June financial year, there is holiday in the months of May and June because the flood is there, the erosion is there, that in the name of some development work, something is done and it is eroded away or flooded. That's the final thing that I will suggest. We have a serious problem with the Rohingyas. You might have read in the newspapers that the Saudis have asked us to take back some Rohingyas who have Bangladesh passport. This problem will compound. Do you know the origin of the problem? In the year 2003, the then government issued 150,000 Bangladesh passport to the Rohingyas. What a thoughtless and what an unpatriotic work. So why did they do it? Because of the composition of the cabinet, you know about this, and because they got, reportedly got assurances from some Middle Eastern countries that we need manpower, you give them passport and we will take them. They took only a few thousand, but the other scoundrels with Bangladesh passport all over the world, joining the IS and bringing very bad name. We have to do something about it. I don't know. Talking about transformative leadership, that's how I will conclude. Aung San Suu Kyi had all the making of becoming another Corazon Aquino, whom I think is one of the greatest leaders of the world, Philippines leader. What did she do? She succumbed to the evil forces. And look, all her honors are being withdrawn. And she is becoming a miserable. She could become a transformative and innovative leader, but she has gone the other way. Ladies and gentlemen, I have spoken enough. I'm sorry if I have been bitter at the moment. I'm basically a very optimistic person, and I do think that the worst is over for Bangladesh, even in terms of politics, because in the 2014 there was an attempt to protihata, to resist the election, did not succeed. The forces of resistance and destruction are not as strong as before, but we don't want them to try to disrupt. and I think the force behind them is much weaker. So hopefully, everybody will participate in the polls. And as I said, in the next 45 days, history may come up with new sunrise, a new sunshine for Bangladesh. I sometimes say that, well, although I'm quite an old person, but my spirit is still very high, very enthusiastic, and I can actually see the gate of victory. বিজয় তরুণ দেখতে পাচ্ছি মানুষটাকে physically now, and 41, 42 is not very far. It is 23, 20, 25 years away. It's not far. So that is the time Bangladesh will be crowned as a developed country, respectable country, democratic country, well-governed country with all the human rights and no poverty, no hunger, no shelterlessness, nobody sick. And we'll be very proud witnesses to this, and that will be the return of Golden Bengal. Let us hope for that day and work for that innovatively and transformatively. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable speech.
Thanks a lot to our honorable chief guest and respected rector of the center.
Distinguished audience, with this episode, this ceremony is concluded here. Thanks to you all for providing us